Hello, Richard Beach here from Sonic Stay Amped. Welcome to this review, a bite-sized review of the Boss pedals. We're looking at 30 pedals. Now we're on to the Overdrive / Distortion pedal, the OS-2. Yet another yellow pedal from Boss. So we've looked at a few distortions already. You compare this to the others. What I'm going to do first of all though is play you my clean sound and then kick in a sort of basic distortion sound that this pedal is really good for. So here we go. Right, so the major draw of this pedal is that you can blend overdrive and distortion sounds. So obviously if you're pushing it towards the distortion, you'll get a much more synthetic, sort of really rich distortion sound. Push it back to the overdrive and you get something which tries to emulate the like the sound of a tube breaking up. So at the moment I'm leaning slightly more to the overdrive sound. So if I push the drive a little bit harder and I flick more towards the distortion, so now I'm right in the middle, you can get a really nice bluesy sound on the rhythm pickup of a Les Paul. And here's what the exact same setting sounds like on a bridge pickup. So I think it would be useful to show the difference between the overdrive and the distortion sounds. If I reel that right back, I'm going to put the drive on halfway, and I'm just going to show you the difference between 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock on the overdrive to distortion knob. I put the tone central as well. So you can hear we get a lot more lower mids coming through on the distortion and we get more high mid response on the overdrive. So what does it sound like on the overdrive if you really crank it? Let's find out. And I'll play with the tone as well as I'm going through different demonstrations. So I think the distortion sound is more usable if you've got the tone bang on midday. If you're on the overdrive, then it's probably more useful and more usable if you're just slightly up to about 3 o'clock, I think, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock, so about here. So what we haven't done is crank the distortion right up to the overdrive distortion blend right up to distortion, whack the level up, keep our tone about there, distortion all the way up, and this is what you get. So really live wire distortion sound, arguable whether it's actually usable in a mix or not. I would reel down the distortion slightly and also the tone to about there. And this is what that sounds like on a rhythm pickup. So I think that amount of distortion is pretty much, I guess, tailored to the treble pickup. Doesn't work so well on the rhythm unless you're doing sort of lead stuff up here. So I think in terms of being able to blend the two sounds, you're not benefiting much more by having each pedal separately. I think what they've done well is build the distortion pedal and the overdrive pedal that they do into one pedal in quite a useful way, easily sort of accessible on the control panel. There's a lot you can do with it, and you can access the same sounds that you can get from either pedal, but in one unit, which is good. Obviously you can't use both of those at the same time, but there's not really that many situations where you'd want to run a distortion pedal and an overdrive pedal at the same time. So what's useful with this pedal is that you can actually blend the two, so you can have, you know, in the middle of overdrive and distortion. So I think as an all-round distortion pedal, if you're just looking for one thing on your pedal board, you think you want a Boss pedal, you're not sure whether you want overdrive, distortion, you're not sure what level of distortion or overdrive you want, because there is a super overdrive, there's a standard overdrive, there's a DS1, there's a turbo distortion, the DS2, then this is a good answer if you're not sure about which one of those to get and you sort of want accessibility to all of them.